Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Ferox and I am sitting in my car while Wonka is in the Melbourne Animal Cancer Care having his chemo. It's really hard to find time when it's quiet to record videos for his diary, which is why I'm sitting in the car with the baby asleep in the back seat, so be quiet. I was going to do a video on how to feed a sick cat, because Wonka has had his ups and downs, but he's been pretty easy to get to eat, as long as I give him multiple medications and a completely different thing to eat every single day. But it's still helpful for people with sick cats in general. Except he had a pretty big setback last week and he stopped eating completely. So he had 12 hours where he wouldn't even eat one of those sloppy little pasty treats, which is really wrong for Wonka, who would previously eat lettuce if it smelt good enough. So he's in there at the moment. He had an ultrasound this week just to see what was going on because he wouldn't eat. First he had a blood count and he had a neutrophilia of, I think it was 40 something, when normally it's less than 19.5. And it was all neutrophils. It was all reasonably happy neutrophils, which was probably a bounce back from chemo. But he also had an ultrasound the following day and he's got a focal pancreatitis because he likes to eat fat. It possibly was some bacon that set that off, but he also likes to break into the bottom of the pantry and lick the olive oil cans. So that could be at fault as well. And the fact that he's on chemo definitely didn't help prevent that. But he is eating again now with a lot of help. In that ultrasound though, his stomach wall mass has not shrunk since he started chemo. And we're almost at that decision day. Also his lymph nodes are a little bit bigger in his abdomen, but is that the pancreas being angry or is that the cancer? I don't know. Is there lymphocytes infiltrating the pancreas? I don't know. His kidneys are also bigger. Are there lymphocytes now in his kidneys? Again, I don't know. And also, I'm not going to look yet because he's actually happy. He jumps on the bed, he cries for attention, he seeks out cuddles, he complains if the blanket isn't right. While previously he was just sleeping in one spot, eat and sleep, eat and sleep. Now he seeks out people. When my partner left to go to the shops the other day, Wonka actually sat by the door and screamed for him to come back, which is old Wonka before cancer. So the chemo might not actually cure him, but it is actively improving his quality of life. And his life is too good to pull the pin just yet. So I'm aware that Wonka will probably succumb to cancer at some point. It's just not today. There's lots of conditions in vet medicine that we don't actually fix. Things like diabetes and kidney failure and hypothyroidism you don't cure, you just manage for the rest of their life. And that might be what we do with Wonka. He might always be on some sort of immunosuppressant chemo type thing, because if his cancer stays stable and it doesn't worsen, like if he stays as he is now, he's high maintenance, but we can probably do that. It's weird filming outside, by the way. So medically, Wonka is up to 4.4 kilos, so he gained a little bit of weight again with a lot of effort, and that's despite 24 hours of not eating earlier. He mostly wants to eat junk food, so he takes even more effort to get him to eat something that's complete and balanced. And I've tried home cooking for him and he ate it once. Not that my cooking's terrible, he just only wants to eat a different thing every day. He's big on the dental treats. He thinks they're made of cocaine or something, but he can't live off them and be healthy. His hematocrit is sitting about 18, which is up from 16. But when he was sick and I had him in my clinic, it was 23. So his bone marrow output is up and down depending on where he is on his chemo protocol. But that's okay, it's suppressed when the chemo is just given and then it bounces back in between. So coupled with the chronic disease, of course, he'll sit a little bit low. But he can cope at that level. It'll just make him a bit tired and a bit puffy. I do watch his resting respiratory rate when he's asleep. As long as it's less than 30, he's coping okay in room air. He doesn't need oxygen supplements or supplementation or anything like that. So that's where he's at these last couple of weeks. We're going to switch him from vincristine to vinblastine, which is similar, but we're trying to make it more effective, really. We want more of a remission and less of a static sort of thing, and it might be slightly gentler with his pancreatitis. We'll find out, which is a shame because he really likes bacon. He just can't do it for a while. And it's worth mentioning, if Wonka stops eating completely, I'm not going to put a feeding tube in him. That's one of our criteria for he's had enough. Like, we're done if we really can't get him to eat. Quality of life is difficult to assess when something is chronic. Excuse the car going past. Because things change so slowly and they sneak up on you. But for us, a big one would be being completely unable to get Wonka to eat. And that would go hand in hand with him losing too much weight. So if he's eating less but over a long period of time, he will lose weight. And if he gets below about 4 kilos, I'd be having to think really hard about whether he's still happy or not. At 3.8, he's probably really not doing well enough. For reference, when he's well, he'd usually sit about 4.7, 4.8 at a good weight. If he stops wanting cuddles from my partner, that's also too sick. That's something that he really, really enjoys. He's not playing at the moment, and he's not arguing with the other cat like he used to, but he's thinking about it. When Trash Bag's sitting on the special chair, Wonka would usually jump up and fight him for it. Now Wonka's putting his front feet up and he's looking, but he's backing down. So he almost feels well enough to start causing trouble on purpose here. He does feel well enough to get into the pantry where he's forbidden and steal food. So I have been leaving little bits of food in the bottom of the pantry that's okay for him to eat, because food tastes better when it's stolen. But he's not well enough to get on top of the fish tank at the moment. So if he stops wanting cuddles, if he stops seeking out his favourite places to sleep, and if he stops eating completely, I think that's our criteria for he's done. But at the moment, he can get himself onto the bed for cuddles, he can get himself onto the couch for cuddles, he's got opinions about the things he sleeps on, he is eating just well enough, and so we're going to keep going while he's happy. He gets cross when my boyfriend is gone, so he's aware enough to care about his environment. So that's good enough for now. He's actually better now than he was 2 or 3 weeks before the chemo started. Now, I know he's not going to be cured at this point. He's not going to be one of those cats that goes into remission and is clean for 2 years. But if I can keep him going on a tablet once or twice a week and he stays at this level, that'll do. When I found out that he had lymphoma, I was really kind of cross, because I've had lots of cases where animals have done better than they should have for my clients. I came back from maternity leave and I looked through the death book that we keep for sympathy cards to see who had knocked off in the couple of months I'd been gone. And some names were not there, so I looked them up and found out that they're still doing well. They're still on the meds, they're clearly not dead. animals are still going in September that I thought were going to die the previous December, but we tried and we pulled a miracle out of somewhere for them. And I thought, it's not fair that I can do this sometimes for other people, but I can't do it for mine. But you don't get to choose. So Wonka's having his vinblastine at the moment, and apparently he's being a good boy, and that's because I sent him with lots of gabapentin and lots of treats. So as long as his face is in the treat bowl, he will not bite somebody. And I might do the how to feed a cat video next time. But I will see you then. I'll try and find a happy Wonka clip to put at the end. Catch you next time.